Good morning, children. Welcome back. Now, we will move to our next topic, that is Peninsular Plateau, that is on page number 108 of your textbook. Till now, we have studied about the physical features of India. Okay, we have studied about the mountainous areas, the northern plains, and now we will come up to the third topic, that is the Peninsular Plateau. Now this Peninsular Plateau, it is the oldest region of India. Now first of all, understand what is peninsula. हम peninsula किसको बोलते हैं? A body or a piece of land enclosed on three sides by water jutting out from a large body of land. Means any land area that is covered with water on three sides, that area is considered as peninsula, okay, or peninsular area. Now in India, you can see the southern part, nearly a full of southern part of India is covered with water on three sides. We have got the Arabian Sea, the Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean. So this area, the southern part of India, is also known as Peninsular India. Now here a proper thing is given. The Peninsular Plateau of India is also named as the Plateau of Peninsular India. It is the biggest part, is known as the Deccan Plateau, comprising the most part of the southern portion of the nation. Now this full plateau ascends 100 meters in the north and ascending further to over 1000 meters to the south, creating an elevated triangle situated in the well-known downhill moving triangle on the seashore on the Indian subcontinent. Means we have got the southern portion, okay, that is known as the peninsular area, okay, and from the north as we move towards the south, the height we can say goes on increasing. Now the Peninsular Plateau is a tableland composed of the old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. Means here mostly in the peninsular area you will see the igneous and the metamorphic rocks. It is formed due to the breaking and drifting of the Gondwana land. Okay, in the previous chapter I have explained you about this Gondwana land. Okay, so it is a part of Gondwana land. It has a broad and a shallow valleys and rounded hills. Now you can see here the location of the Peninsular Plateau. Now this full Peninsular Plateau lies to the south of the northern plains of India. In the previous part we have studied about these northern plains. Okay, towards the south of northern plains, here in this picture you can see the yellowish part, the yellowish brown area. This full area is considered as a Peninsular Plateau. So it is lying towards the south of northern plains. Here also in this image, see the color. Okay, the third portion you can see over here, the Peninsular Plateau in the cream color. So this full area, the creamish, is considered as the Peninsular Plateau. Okay, the Peninsular Plateau is flanked by Aravallis on the northwest, the Western Ghats in the west and the disintegrated Eastern Ghats in the east. Okay, you can see over here the Aravalli ranges, the Vindhya ranges, the Satpura, the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. This plateau ranges in an elevation from 100 meters in the northern side to 1000 meters in the south. That we have studied previously also. The height is nearly 100 meters in the northern and it goes on increasing to 1000 meters towards the south. It is formed due to the breaking and drifting of the Gondwana land. Hence it is the oldest landmass. Now in this figure you can see India as a landmass, how the shape of the India, okay, the Peninsular Plateau ka shape dekho idhar. So nearly 55 million years ago, what was the shape of this peninsular India? Then 30 million years ago, okay, and India now, okay, and here you can see the portion of peninsular India, how it is being now. Now this peninsular India has got nearly the black soil, and it is rich in valuable minerals such as iron, mica, coal and copper. Okay, so most of the peninsular plateau is full of minerals. Now first of all, you have to see there are different range of mountains in this peninsular India. You have to go through, learn where are which mountains being situated in this peninsular area. Now here you can see the first one are the Aravalli ranges. See the arrow over here? This area is covered with Aravalli ranges. Second is the Vindhya ranges. Here we have got the Vindhyachal mountains. The third range is the Satpura range. Then fourth is the Mahadev hills. Fifth are the Michael hills. Here we have got the Western Ghats, and the last one here we have got the Eastern Ghats. Okay, so these are the famous ranges where in this peninsular plateau, and this plateau is covered with big ranges on all the sides. Okay, now the peninsular plateau is divided into two parts, the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. Again, the Central Highlands is divided into four areas. The first one is the Malwa Plateau, second is the Bundelkhand, the third is the Bundelkhand, and the last area is Chota Nagpur Plateau. Now this Central Highlands, okay, the middle portion we can see, the part of peninsular plateau lying to the north of Narmada river, covering a major area of Malwa Plateau, is known as Central Highlands. Okay, in your book it has been given as the name as Malwa Plateau only. The extent of Central Highlands is from Vindhya to Aravalli hills. Okay, here again I will show you in the map. Okay, from Vindhya and Aravalli. Okay, so here you can see the area between the first and the second part. The first ranges and the second. First is Aravalli and the second is Vindhya. So the area between these two is the Malwa Plateau. Then the slope of Central Highland is from southwest to northeast. Okay, from the southwest to northeast. The rivers Chambal, Sindh, Betwa and Ken flow are according to the slope of the plateau. These are the main rivers flowing in these areas in the Central Highland. Then the Central Highlands are wider in the west and narrower in the east. They are very broad in the western part and it goes on narrowing in the east. The Chota Nagpur Plateau in the eastward extension of the Central Highlands. Okay, towards the eastern side, जो Central Highland है, उसका towards the eastern side, the last area is the Chota Nagpur Plateau. And the Chota Nagpur Plateau is drained from Damodar River. Again here the points I have written down. Again the Central Highlands lies to the north of Narmada River between Aravalli in north and Vindhya range in the south. It covers a major portion of the Malwa Plateau. Then rivers in the region flow from southwest to northwest, which indicates the slope of this region. And this Malwa Plateau is further extended towards, it is known as Bundelkhand, Bhagelkhand, Chota Nagpur Plateau. Now here in this picture I will show you. Okay, this full area is considered as the Central Highland. Okay, here we will start with the Malwa Plateau. It is the first part of Central Highlands. Then here second is the Bundelkhand. Okay, again the part of Central Highlands. Then the third portion is the Bundelkhand. Okay, and here we have got Chota Nagpur Plateau. Now this Ranchi Plateau is a part of Chota Nagpur Plateau. So all these 4 to 5 plateaus together make the Central Highlands. Okay, and this is the northern part of, we can say, the Peninsular Plateau. Now this Malwa Plateau, the area is given, it is nearly 81,767 square kilometers. Height is nearly 500 meters. Okay, then its slope is from north to northeast. Now the Chambal River and its tributaries drain most in the Malwa Plateau. Now here you can see the Malwa Plateau is given. Here are the Aravalli ranges. You can just see from Aravalli ranges, it has been starting and till it ends over here, the Chota Nagpur. So all this area is included in Central Highlands. Here also in this picture, this Aravali, the Vindhya, the Satpura, the Chota Nagpur plateau. Now you can see the flow of the rivers. Okay. Now in this Aravali ranges, it has been given that Mount Abu is the famous hill station in this Aravali ranges. Most of you must have been over there, the famous hill station between Gujarat and Rajasthan. Okay, and Guru Shikhar is the, we can say, the highest peak over there with a height of 1722 meters. Okay, to the south of this region, the rivers Chambal and Betwa. I will show you over here. You can see the rivers Chambal, and over here it is river Betwa. Okay, they emerge from Vindhyachal mountains. Here we have seen the second number are the Vindhyachal mountains. So they start from Chambal and river Betwa start from Vindhyachal mountains. Okay, and then they go and meet river Yamuna. Here you can see from here they start, they go and meet Yamuna. From here the Betwa also start and it goes and meet Yamuna. Okay, and then you can see river Son flowing again towards northwest. Here it is river Son and it goes and meet river Ganga. So from the flow of these three rivers we can say that the slope of the Central Highland, okay, it starts from north and it moves towards northwards. Okay, now again the northeastern part of the central upland is known as Bundelkhand. Now the second portion is the Bundelkhand. Now located to the east of the Malwa plateau, here it is Malwa, again towards the east of Malwa plateau in the brown area we can see it is Bundelkhand, and this area is also big enough, it covers an area of 70,000 square kilometers. Again towards the east of Bundelkhand we have got the plateau of Bundelkhand. Here in pinkish it has been shown. Okay, the Bundelkhand is a region of central India in the northeast of Madhya Pradesh and adjacent southern part of Uttar Pradesh, and area is around 14,323 square meters. And the last is on the eastern side of the Central Highlands are the Chota Nagpur plateau. Okay, these are the we can say Gangetic plain lies to the north and the east of the plateau, and the basin of Mahanadi rivers lies to the south. Its area is 65,000 square kilometers. Again this map I have shown while you can imagine or you can see over here the full area, the Malwa plateau, the Bundelkhand. Okay, again towards the east, to the southern east part we can say is the Bundelkhand, and again Bundelkhand ke or eastern side we have got the Chota Nagpur plateau and the Ranchi plateau. Okay, now we move to the second part of the peninsular plateau, that is the Deccan plateau. The southern part of the peninsula south of the Vindhyas is known as Deccan plateau. Here you can see over here the southern part. On the top, on the northern side it was known as this area it was known as Central Highlands. Towards the south of Central Highlands is the Deccan plateau. Here you can see. Okay, now this Deccan plateau is a large triangular plateau in India covering up the majority of the southern part of the country. It rises 100 meters high in the north, rising further to more than a kilometer high in the south. The Deccan plateau is made up of basalt and granite rocks, having a region of highlands with a typically vast stretches of flat areas on top like a like a tabletop, as we can see over here, just like a tabletop. So it is also known as tabletop. Okay, Deccan plateau in short, it is the largest plateau in India. It lies to the south of Narmada river, shaped as an inverted triangle. It is surrounded by Satpura hills, Mahadev hills, Michael ranges, Amakantak hills and Rajmahal hills. Now this Deccan plateau in the south, it has got Western Ghats in the west and the Eastern Ghats in the east. Here you have got the Western Ghats and here on the eastern side we have got the Eastern Ghats. Volcanic in origin, made up of horizontal layers of solidified lava forming trap structure with step-like appearance. Sedimentary layers are also found in between the layers of solidified lava, making it intertrapping in structure. Means most of all it is an origin of we can say because of magma and lava. Now average elevation of Western Ghats is 900 to 1600 meters, okay, as compared to 600 meters in Eastern Ghats. Okay, now this Deccan Plateau is again divided into four parts. The first is the Deccan Trap, the Western Ghats, the Eastern Ghats, and the Northeast, we can say, extension. According to your book, it is only given as the two are explained, the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. Now the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats make the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau respectively. The Western Ghats are continuous and higher than the Eastern Ghats. The height of the Western Ghats increases from north to south. Now these Western Ghats have got different names in the different areas. Now these Western Ghats are known as Sahyadri in Maharashtra and Karnataka, then Nilgiri in Tamil Nadu, okay, then as Annamalai and Cardamom ranges, okay, towards the border of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The Western Ghats again I'll say they are higher than the Eastern Ghats. The average elevation is 900 to 1600 meters, as against Eastern Ghats are lower in height, we can say. Eastern Ghats are nearly 600 meters in height. The Eastern Ghats stretches from Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiri Hills in the south, and the Eastern Ghats are discontinuous and are cut by rivers. These Eastern Ghats, you can see over here the eastern elevation. So here is river Mahanadi towards the Nilgiri Hills in the south. Here it has been clearly shown with the brown marking, okay, from Mahanadi to Nilgiri Hills. Okay, and then the Eastern Ghats run from West Bengal, we can say, in the north through Orissa, Andhra Pradesh to Tamil Nadu in the south. And mostly the rivers like Godavari, Mahanadi, Krishna, Kaveri, all these are the famous rivers flowing in the Eastern Ghats, and they drain out their water in Bay of Bengal. The Eastern Ghats are, we can say, more older than the Western Ghats. Okay. So thank you, children. Now this has been given in your textbook. Go through the paragraphs and see if you understand all the things. If not, we are there for you. Thank you.